Inference Plus, Story Short Number 23, Series B. It seemed a great injustice to Tabitha that the list of requirements a man was permitted to have for a wife was so long, while the list of requirements a woman was permitted to have for a husband was so short. In order to be considered a desirable marriage prospect, a woman must be not too fat, but not too thin, youthful, but not childish, unless a gentleman prefers innocence, in which case a certain amount of girlishness was preferable, not too opinionated, but not informed about world events, not too stupid, but also not overly bookish, stylishly turned out, but not a spendthrift, witty, but not to an extent that could be interpreted as biting, doting, but not clingy, resourceful, but not crafty, a strong work ethic, but soft hands were expected, a lover of children, lusty, but not sexually experienced, accomplished, but not immodest, and any number of other criteria specific to the gentleman in question. In order to be considered a desirable marriage prospect, a man must be willing and not so poor as to be unable to afford a wife. Preferably a member of the same social club as the woman's husband or father, but this could be overlooked for the sake of expediency. Tabitha's current prospect, selected by her father and heartily seconded by her brother Richard, was a Mr. Lindsay Campbell. It was a name that sounded to Tabitha a bit like the sound a person made before blowing their nose into a handkerchief. Everything about Mr. Campbell reminded her of wilted lettuce, from his pale, limp hair to his soft and drooping spine, to the words that oozed forth from him like so much dribbled porridge. She would have described him as offensive, but the word seemed entirely too strong for such a faded person, so she settled on bland. "You'll always sparkle like a jewel beside him," her mother offered in an attempt to rally her interest. Tabitha was an intelligent girl and recognized the concept of comparative value. A lump of charcoal would sparkle beside Mr. Lindsay Campbell. Surely she was at least a sparkly amethyst, if not a dazzling diamond. She had voiced her reservations, but father was having none of it. "He has an allowance of £5,000 a year," father said. "And he's not the sort to comcat around," Richard added. "You won't have to worry about anything like that." Tabitha certainly did not want to live in poverty, nor did she desire a husband who drank and gallivanted his way through the red light district, but surely a middle ground could be negotiated. The thought of a passel of limp, wilted children with names like Ashley and Tamsin and Wesley and Prudence made her stomach churn. She dressed them in watery blue frocks to match their watery limp hair and watery vacant eyes, and they'd all constantly have runny noses and fretful dispositions. It was a bleak proposition that made her eyes sting with despair, but as far as she could see, there was no getting around it. Father and Richard and even Mother seemed perfectly content with the match. She sighed. She supposed there was more to life than romance. She could focus on her embroidery. It would pass the time. With any luck, she'd contract tuberculosis and perish young.